All right. Welcome, everybody. It is 6 p.m. It's time for us to start. We would like to welcome each and every one of you for joining us in today's webinar titled Turning Poetry into Transformational Leadership. I'm excited to be your host or moderator today. And we have a very exciting guest. But before I share our guest details, I just wanted to give you an overview of what Global Age Leaders is and what it is that you can expect from us from this webinar. So my name is Daudi Mugabi, and I'm one of the co-founders of Global Age Leaders. Global Age Leaders is a platform that empowers individuals with soft skills and information that can help them become better leaders. And we do that through a number of workshops that we have delivered both online and physically, as well as webinars like these ones that help us interact with professionals in different spheres of life that empower us with knowledge and skills, wisdom that helps us become much better leaders. So today it's a privilege to have Beverley Nambozo, who is a poet, well recognized, and I am going to share her bio with us before I introduce her on stage. But before I do that, I just wanted to let us know that this particular webinar is one that I find very, very helpful for those who have a talent, but aren't quite sure how this talent can help them. Number one, become a better leader. Number two, become a source of income. Number three, create a platform that can make them a thought leader in that space. So Beverley is going to share with us her story as well as other things that can speak to that. So who is Beverley? Who is our guest speaker today? It is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, and that is none other than Beverley Nambozo Nsengiyunva, who is a dynamic force in the world of literature, education, and public speaking. She was born in Uganda and raised between continents. Beverley's journey is a remarkable tapestry of creativity, leadership, and purpose. She's the founder of Babishainiwe Poetry Foundation, which is a groundbreaking initiative that began as a platform to elevate Ugandan women poets and has since grown into a celebrated continental movement championing African poetry and storytelling. She is also the CEO of Rich Diction Enterprises, which is a public speaking training company that transforms professionals and young people through powerful, purposeful communication. With a background in education, Beverley has taught at some of Uganda's top institutions, coordinated international programs, and mentored young leaders across East Africa. Her poetry has been published and performed internationally, from BBC Radio to the Poetry Africa Festival, and her voice continues to challenge norms and uplift the marginalized. Beverley holds a master's degree in creative writing from Lancaster University and is a distinguished Toastmaster from Bukoto Toastmasters Club, a club that she chartered. Recognized for her impactful leadership both in Uganda and across East Africa region. Known for her authenticity, wit, and unwavering faith, Beverley is here today to share insights that promise to inspire, challenge, and transform. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me by putting your virtual hands together, as well as any happy emojis, as we welcome the phenomenal Beverley Nambozo Nsengiyunva. Beverley, over to you.
Thank you so much, Daudi, for this invitation and for the introduction. Good evening, everyone who has joined us. Thank you for being here today. If there's noise in the background, my children are playing outside, and this is the most comfortable room to share this meeting in. Last year, a friend of mine who is such a successful businessman asked me about Babishai, and he said, "What successes have you made?" Babishai is the poetry foundation that supports Africans. And I said, well, we awarded poets They became recognized, attended master classes with leading writers. He again said, what successes? I said, some of them were published in anthologies. They traveled the world for festivals on behalf of Babi Shai. They've gone on to start their own establishments. He asked me again, what successes have you made? And this is what he meant. He meant, what have you planted, created, that can lead your organization to be sustainable? And I had no appropriate response, because after 15 years, we're still relying on donor funding. It was only last year when he made me engage in radical thinking, because the truth is, like many artists who are passionate and highly gifted, creative, spending hours and hours deep into the night, early in the morning, working on our craft, planning festivals and other arts engagements, we still rely on external funding. And I needed to change my thinking radically. Otherwise, like many other arts foundations, it's very possible that the doors would be closed if there was no sustainability. Passion is important, and that's why Dawoodi invited me. I'm an extremely passionate person. Those who know me, I'll be passionate about anything I set my mind to. Do you want me to MC? Do you want me to usher at an event? Would you like me to lead a panel discussion? You'll find none who has an energy like mine. And that's the truth, because I put everything. A friend of mine, Jackie Asimwe, said, how come you put everything in what you do? I don't know the answer. I just thought that's the way life should be. Put everything in what you do, or do nothing. Put everything. And I don't mean you have to be ebullient or have my personality. No, you may even be quiet. Some of the quietest people I know, some of the most introverted people I know, are the best speakers. You don't have to be an extrovert. Some of the shyest people I know are the most creative writers. You do not have to have one type of personality, an alpha personality, to shine. You don't have to. But even in their introverted state, even in their quiet nature, they exude their best. And that's what I thought life should be. I was surprised when I encountered people who gave 50% or 30% and then claimed credit for the work I had done. Story for another day. Radical thinking meant I had to go back to my accounts and see how much money did I need if Babi Shai was to sustain 10 years, 5 years without donor funding. How many books would we need to sell if we were to sustain? Where were our sources of income? Apart from workshops, trainings, and the books, there was nothing substantial. I met with him again after we released our latest anthology. This anthology is called Feeling, contributed by several poets in Uganda. And it celebrates iconic Ugandan women, women who have excelled in various fields of leadership, politics, sports. We have Africa's first female mayor, 97-year-old Canon Janet Wesonga from Mbale. We have Peruth Chemutai, the women's Olympic medalist from Uganda. Namaganda Yvonne, who rescued 19 girls from a Budo fire, 2008. So many. I said, this is the book where we're going to learn and elevate, learn from our mistakes. It's about our 6th publication. So we've had 6 trials to learn. Within a month, even before its official launch, it has been the most successful, because it is the first publication we have had that has actually made its way to a leading bookstore in Nairobi. We have been to Nairobi several times and sold books. This is the only one that has made it to one of Nairobi's largest big bookstores. It's the only one where people from South Africa and London are asking for copies immediately. It's the only one where we have successfully sold copies online and money has been received onto the account. Why did we make these adjustments? Because again, my friend asked me, where is the success? We are passionate people. We love what we do. But let me tell you, passion can be exhilarating in the same way it can be terrifying. If you wake up and there's nothing else but reminder of yesterday's successful event, it's terrifying. I have held massively successful events, and some people on the forum have been part of them. Extremely successful. I have spoken at festivals in Nigeria, in Nairobi, spoken at BBC World Radio in Manchester, in the UK. My goodness, what haven't I done? Passion led me there. But you know what was terrifying? When I returned home, when I slept in my bed at night and I woke up, there was nothing to show for it except memories, except photographs, except social media posts, except congratulatory messages and lots of articles in the papers. I have articles from 15 years in the newspapers collected, many, not only from Uganda, around the world. Even today, I've been receiving invitations to speak, to talk about the haiku, African poetry, this. Whom else can I recommend? Students from the US are inviting me for lunch in this season, visiting Uganda. We want to talk to you about your poetry. Passion, it's powerful. But you know what terrifies me? That after I engage in these interviews, after people congratulate me, after my posts are shared, I look back and the accounts aren't smiling. And that means my smile is fading. As a leader, my leadership style has changed. I tell people passion is important. However, if there is nothing feeding it, you will be miserable. Why? Because you feel you've been cheated. You've used so much energy to create this artistry, and you're cheated because you're not being paid. I've worked with the most gifted dancers in this country. I've worked with the most gifted poets, speakers, the most gifted painters, and yet they are always miserable because they cannot feed themselves. They're always living on the edge. And it seems exciting for an artist. You're waiting for your big breakthrough. You're waiting for a visitor to travel to this foreign land of Uganda and notice you in a corner and say, you are a talent. I am going to sponsor you. That rarely happens except in our dreams. And I'm not saying it won't happen, it may, but it usually happens in our dreams and it stays there. And we grow older and more frustrated. And then you find people struggling because they're not working on their art. They're looking for other ways to be sustainable. In whatever you do, I will say this, get a mentor. In my leadership, when I lead others, I'll say, if you want me to mentor you, I am going to share with you what my mentors have said. And there's some mentors I've discarded because they're not working for me. I want a mentor who will say, you must make money. I used to have mentors who would say, oh, Beverley, don't worry. Money will follow the passion. You're a great poet. Money did not follow. Money did not follow. I had to make actual plans. This is what I'll say. In my leadership journey, when I'm leading others, you must be a leader who lives a life that's sustainable. Find ways, as the Bible says, cast your bread upon the waters. Do not rely on your talent alone. It's not enough. It never will be. Do not rely on your talent alone. Do you know what happens when you do? You'll be abused and manipulated. And that's what happened to me. Because I'm highly gifted in everything I do, people called me to volunteer in their organizations. And I volunteered and gave my best. Oh, Beverley, you're amazing. And you get a certificate and people clap for you. The next day, you are still basking on that memory and the accolades and the photos and the WhatsApp groups and everyone saying, Beverley, you're amazing. But the account is still dry. That is manipulation. I tell people now as a leader, 10% of your life should be in volunteering. 90% should be fulfilling your goal. And you cannot fulfill your goal if you don't have money. Work ways around what you're doing, especially when you're active and physical, to make money. It doesn't have to be something you like. You know, we say, make money from what you like. Make money from what you like. If I do, then I charge highly. Because I'm a great MC, I charge highly. I don't know how many invitations to MC I've turned down because they cannot afford. But I'm gracious about it. I'm like, this is my fee. Sorry, we can't afford you next time. I'm gracious. Before I'd say, okay, that's all right. It's not all right. It's not all right anymore. And it wasn't all right then. But now, I know enough because somebody asked me, where is your success? And I will not be successful if I am not making money. It is so important. Because when you make money, you can then make a difference. Let people not lie to you that it's not about the money or it doesn't matter. It matters a lot. And then they'll misquote the verse and say, the love of money is the root of all evil. You are not loving money. You are loving your work enough that you will earn enough to make it work. Earn enough money that you stop being a burden to other people. Earn enough money that you stop relying on these donors who give you a miserable $3,000 and $5,000. What is that going to do for you? You get $5,000 for a funding you've applied for in 6 months. By then you're exhausted from the back and forth, and they don't give it to you all at once. That is not worthy of who you are. But that is what you'll be reduced to if you're relying on passion alone. Get a good mentor. This person told me, Beverley, where is your success? Feeling. People have praised this book, but you know the people who have bought are strangers. Majority of people are strangers. It's not those who said you're so passionate and good, the ones I volunteer with. No, it's those who have real money, the ones who work in corporate spaces. The person who asked me what success bought 10 copies for individuals. He bought 10 copies for them. You see, that is a person who puts money where his mouth is. But all of those who came and said, Beverley, you're so wonderful. What? How many have bought? Why? Because they don't have the money. Because their passion has not yet paid them. They're still waiting for their passion to pay them, and it may never. And so if you want to be a leader who transforms, you must be full circle. Your passion alone is not enough. Where are you going to get money to pay for these suits? Are you going to continue borrowing? Where are you going to get money to transport yourself to different locations and attend powerful seminars? Introduce yourself before people who are thought leaders so that you can also sit at the table and make a difference. No one is going to recognize poetry if poets are always the ones begging for money. They will recognize us when we sit at the table and we make a difference. And if we have to pay $500 to buy in, we will be the first to pay that $500. We won't say, you know, I'm just a poet. No, poetry is fantastic. We are at the top of the pyramid, but nobody knows it yet because we don't have money. And therefore, as a leader, in everything you do, be passionate, work on your art, but get a mentor who will guide you financially. Otherwise, you'll be miserable for the rest of your life. And these are some of the lessons I've learned. The time when we got a lot of donor funding, had I known, I'd have invested it. I didn't know then. I used all, we accounted for it, delivered our report, and our report was approved as good people. You have to stop being good and become radical if you want to be a leader. Become radical. Tell yourself passion is not enough. Be real. Stop smiling with people who don't have money. Smile with those who have money who will tell you, listen, you need to earn this amount if you want to sustain yourself. If you want to work on your poetry for a year, then you must make this amount of money so that you can work on your poetry for a year, and that money will multiply. Invest in areas where money will multiply. That's when you'll work on your art and you won't have any challenges at all. I'll tell you what passion is. Passion has done things for me. And here are some photos. That's a festival we held in 2018. The team went to Sipi Falls and Mbale. I wasn't able to go because my fourth born was 2 months at the time, but the team went. Look at that. Passionate people. Passionate people. I'll tell you, not one of those people was able to pay for themselves. Only the American professor you see behind there. Not one of them. Do you know why? Because all of them are passionate artists who cannot afford. The only person who could afford is a professor who is earning money at Emory University in Boston. Therefore, he could pay for his flight and pay for his trip there. The rest was donor funding. All of these are passionate and highly gifted people. None of them could afford a trip to Sipi Falls, but passion took us to this place, and indeed, it was a wonderful festival. Let me show you what passion has done. Passion has done many things. When I started the Beverley Nambozo Poetry Award, we were awarding Ugandan poets. We used to travel to Nairobi. I was the first Ugandan to introduce Ugandan writers to the Story Moja Festival, which is just next door, Nairobi, 2012, 2013. Imagine being a pioneer. Because I said, you people, the festival is just next door. How come you've never had Ugandans? So I brought them. In 2012, I brought the 3 shortlisted poets from my award. 2013, I brought 10 others who came along. People just came along, they heard about it. That was the time when there was a bombing at Westgate Mall, and one of our guests, Kofi Awono, a Ghanaian, he passed away. That was an unfortunate incident. But can you imagine? It was my initiative. How much did I get paid for that? Nothing. Each of the poets I brought, I had to fund it myself because we didn't always get donor funding. Sometimes I had to dip into my own savings. Passion led me to meet Wale Soyinka. That was in 2014, Story Moja Festival. There he is with his gray hair. Powerful, wonderful man, Nobel laureate. How wonderful that is. Did it earn me any money? No, it didn't. It didn't. If I had a mentor with me, a business mentor at the time, he would have said, if you're going to meet this Nobel laureate, this Nobel Prize winner who wrote books that we studied at university and in secondary school, this is what you do. Create this with him, a poem, a something, sell it. He would have given me an idea so that that meeting is sustainable. Now it's just a memory from a grainy photo. Passion is powerful, passion is important, but it is not enough to sustain. It will frustrate you. This is Feeling, our latest poetry anthology. This is the one that has been the most successful. Why? Because my eyes were opened. My eyes were open to its application. This is the first book that we're actually receiving income online because it has been packaged well and many people are downloading it and they've got praises for it. We haven't even officially launched it. It's just a month, but already the discussions, visits to universities, even when we are invited for Rotary meeting, we sell quite a number because strangers who have money are the ones who pay for the book, not your fellow passionate people. My fellow artists are not buying the books, but you know who are? The passionate people who are businessmen and women. They're like, you've written about Honorable Joyce Impanga? Oh my goodness. You mean you wrote about Honorable Dr. Miriam Matembe? Oh my goodness, let me buy 3. I know her. We work together. Those are the people. For them, money is not an issue, but it's going to be an issue if passion is the only thing that gets you going. It will be. And as a leader, I'll tell you this. Combine. Get a mentor, and I'll tell you whatever money you have. This is what I learned. As artists, whatever money you have, put 10% in a savings account. When it grows, invest it somewhere. Invest it so that when you need money, you go to your investment and see how it has multiplied. There are many ways. Invest your money. Don't wait for a savior to come. They hardly come. Save yourself. You're passionate, you're gifted. Use that gift, not only for your art, but use that gift to generate how you can make an income. And create a circle with your friends. Stop spending time with so many poor people who are passionate but poor. It's not sustainable. They will frustrate you. Imagine having friends who are always poor. I've been there. It is frustrating. And yet one conversation with a rich person changed the way I think. Be radical in the way you think. That is what will get you going. And that is what will transform you. Because a leader who transforms has to change their thoughts, has to change their lifestyle, and then change their conversations with others so that they too can be transformed. You'll speak to many, but even if it's 3 out of 500, I'm telling you, 3 extremely wealthy poets in Uganda will change the conversation in Africa. We only need 3. We don't need 300. We already have 300 poor ones. Let's get 3 extremely wealthy poets. It is easy. It's not difficult. If you need to start farming or doing things you don't really like to earn money, earn that money so that it feeds into your passion, so that you can print 500 books without question, so that you can hold a festival, so that you can organize a launch at Sheraton Hotel without waiting for donor funding. Invest in yourself. When you do, you'll attract the right people who will then invest in you. Become an investment in yourself. If you're passionate about what you do, invest in yourself is the best gift you can give yourself. And as a leader, that is real transformation. May I please know how much time I have, Daudi?
You have another 20 minutes.
Okay, I thought it was 30 minutes altogether. All right. And that's the only thing. That is invest in yourself. And the only way to invest in yourself is to be radical. You really, really, really have to become radical. Don't be afraid to make money. Artists and those who are passionate, they're so afraid of making money. They think, but will I become an artist if I make money? I'm okay being poor. Don't listen to those things. Stop watching those movies. Those people are paid to act like they're poor artists, and yet they're earning a lot. I'll tell you the people I admire a lot. I watch a lot of good comedy, good series, good acting, and I follow up on behind the scenes. Those people can rehearse one scene for like 8 hours, one scene until they get it right. And it becomes so natural because they've rehearsed it so well. Have you ever seen someone act and you think, my goodness, acting must come natural to them? That natural gift is 0.001. They work hard. In the same way, work hard at investing in yourself. Stop listening to people who tell you, it's all right. It's all right. One day, at least I love what I'm doing. They're lying to you. I am happy. They're lying to you. And I'll tell you, I have examples of my fingertips. Just in the last 2 years, I used to spend time with people who are like that. You know, it doesn't pay, but I like what I'm doing. I'm so happy. Those people now are working in corporate organizations. They began applying and applying for jobs. Now they're senior managers in corporate organizations. And do you know what? That money is helping them so much, and they can still serve their passion because they're not worried. You know, how can you serve your passion? Oh, I was worried about money, the bills, the school fees, this. You cannot. It's a lie. Invest in yourself. And the best way, be radical in the way you think, because it's your thought that's really, really making it difficult. I've been reading this book called How Deep is This Pothole? I'm sure we all know Dr. Ian Clark. Dr. Ian Clark has stood for MP, actually, hasn't he? Much India. He was a proprietor of IHK, which has now changed leadership, but we know him as a medical doctor. He came to Uganda as a missionary. And he came with his family, his wife, Robbie, and children during the 80s. And of course, that was a turbulent time in Uganda. They landed right in Luwero. And so they witnessed a lot of the killings in the Luwero Triangle at the time. And they were there during the time when AIDS was becoming apparently impossible to deal with in the 80s and 90s. And they saw how AIDS was killing many people, doctors that they had trained. In all of this, he said that when he was leaving Ireland, he wasn't in Northern Ireland, he was in Ireland at the time, not Northern Ireland. He said that, my goodness, I had a practice in Ireland, it was great, but here is where my purpose is, my goal, my passion. Even him, he knew passion was not enough. How was passion going to treat the people who are sick? How was passion going to lead into more investigation to find out how more preventative measures they could find to stop HIV with these vulnerable people? How was passion going to be enough to spread advocacy so that they could get ARVs to at least help prevent the spread of HIV and treat more people from other diseases which are really treatable? Passion alone was not enough. Neither was prayer. He came as a missionary doctor. Now, during that time, he was even diagnosed with cancer, but it was a cancer that was treatable. He went back for treatment and returned. How was passion alone going to treat that cancer? It wasn't, but he was passionate about what he did. Now, when he came and he found his purpose, which was treating and serving as a doctor in Uganda, he knew that passion was not enough, and he did everything to make sure that there was money. First, he relied on aid, but even aid was not enough. So stop relying on those donors. Unless the donor money comes and you invest it and multiply it and you don't need them anymore, that's when it will work for you. And while it helped at the beginning, he said, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. What do we do? And so he started a hospital. Private sector or investor. People introduced him as an investor, and he said, that's a great thing because I am investing. It's a hospital where people pay, and that investment then runs the hospital, so we're able to increase our income and then continue serving more patients. In other words, his investments helped serve his passion, serving. It is not a sin to make money. Make it and make a lot of it. Stop spending time with people who are poor. And I don't mean poor, they don't have money. That's being temporarily broke. who are in their mind. They have no idea what they're saying. Some people say things and they're confused. They leave you more miserable than you came. They are fiery and what? But then you're always the same. You're not transformed. Be around people who are transformed. And sometimes people are quiet. Sometimes the most transformative people do not say a word. They are quiet. They are silent. But their lives are empowering. Their lives are insanely changed and inspiring. They will not say a word, but when you get to know them, you see how much impact they have made for themselves and for others. You cannot pour from a cup that is empty. Make sure your cup is filled. And how do you do it? Change the way you think. How do you change the way you think? Read. Feed your mind with things that are worthy. I think this is a worthy book to read. I also think Feeling is worthy to read, and they're on sale right now at 50,000. Dawoodi will share my numbers in the chat if you're interested in a copy. Feed your mind with things that are worthy. And when you feed your mind with things that are worthy, those that are not will remove themselves. They will exit. They will find an out because there's no space for them. You imagine a situation where you studied science and you know what it is, where volume and capacity, when you're measuring the volume of a glass or an empty container, there will be a point where if the liquid is too much, some liquid will spill out. Let the liquid that spills out be the one that is light, because what is lighter, the denser liquid stays at the bottom. Let the lighter liquid full of fluff and full of no substance be the one that comes out. Let the dense liquid remain at the bottom of your mind, of your heart. Let it settle. Refer to it a lot. Fill your mind with things that are worthy. Read books. I'm reading a book that says money won't make you rich. And it talks about how we must invest and stop having a poor mindset. Money alone won't make you rich, because if there's $1 billion here and I don't know what to do with it, it won't make me rich. But give me $1 billion now, my dear, I will transform the life of every poet whose life wants to be transformed, because now I know what to do with that money. Had that money come 2 years ago, I wouldn't have known. Now, when it comes to me, I will know what to do with it. Invest it, transform lives, starting with my own. Because the greatest gift you can give to the world is to be transformed. Be highly successful. Don't be afraid of success. And that's the best transformation. Don't be afraid of dressing well, of speaking well, of reading, of showing you're intelligent. One of the worst experiences I had last year, 2024, was spending time with a group of otherwise intelligent ladies who consistently told me, Beverley, stop showing you're too intelligent. People don't need to know you like reading. That's not where I want to be. Why should I be speaking to people who don't want to know I'm reading? Why should I reduce myself to fit into their smallness? And it wasn't the fault of the people. It was the fault of these individuals I engaged with. They said, you know, Beverley, you have to shift, slow it down a bit, reduce myself. In other words, they were encouraging me to reduce myself so that others could be comfortable. I'm not here to make you comfortable. Go to those other places where people don't read. I like to read. I like to discuss. I like to challenge myself. I like to challenge others. If you don't want that space, then you leave. I'm not going to leave or change who I am. Either you change who you are, you're welcome. But if you don't want to, that's fine. You'll find your space. And I was constantly being told, reduce yourself, change. You're too much. No, I'm not too much. I'm enough. If others cannot manage, then we're not supposed to be in the same room, and that is okay. Not everyone is meant for you. In other words, their aim was please everyone. You can't please everyone. Someone says you please everyone, you'll catch pneumonia. You're here, there, everywhere, catching everything that everyone has. You'll get diseased. You'll get diseased. Have a small circle of people. Follow Jesus. He had a small circle of people, and he impacted the world. Have a small circle of people, impact the world. Make sure they're the right people. Stop spending time with poor people. And I don't mean those who don't have money. I mean those who are not rich in their minds, who are not ready to listen, to be challenged, to understand. Those who always want to just air their opinions without properly understanding. Those who don't want to grow. My friend told me last year, what success have you had? Let me tell you, I was the BBC Commonwealth Games poet 2014. I mentioned that, he nodded his head. It was like, I told him, I was this, I've been in the papers, introduced here, been published in leading magazines. He just shook his head. He said, what success? Because all of those things were passionate, but nothing put money on the account. None of those things put money on the account. Even when people told me, oh, your books are in the Library of Congress in the US, none of that put money on the account. Even when some people tell me, oh, we heard your name being mentioned at this university, none of that put money on the account. I'd rather be mentioned in Boise if I know every time my name is mentioned in Boise, I'm earning 50 million shillings. That would help me more. So all this passionate journey, it's been great having my name there, but the smile has not been sustained because it didn't put money on the account. And those two must go together. So we have to become radical thinkers, and we cannot do it on our own. Get a great mentor and change, be honest with what you want. I'm honest with how much money I want to earn, because I even said I want to sell 1 million copies every year of this. 1 million copies is ridiculously ambitious. I have to become ridiculously ambitious, because if I aim for 1 million and I sell 200,000, that is great thinking, because most people are happy with 1,000 a year. I will never be happy with that. Never. I want to sell 1 million copies a year. If I think high, I will work on ways to make sure that is possible. I will make sure that is possible as much as I can. I will work with the right people who think like that. I won't work with people who don't think that way. 1 million copies. So what do we do? Get a map of the world. There are how many countries in the world? 162, 152? Really? How difficult is it? It can't be too difficult, can it? To sell 1 million copies? How many universities are there in the world? How many individuals who can read English? The English speakers are the most. This is an English written book. Surely 1 million copies is not enough. 1 million copies can be sold in Kampala alone. So start thinking radically and stop limiting yourself. That's the best transformational leadership advice I may give. Dawudi?
Thank you
Please.
so much, Beverly. Thank you so much. A round of applause virtually for Beverly. Just to share our emojis and share our love with Beverly for a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Beverly. I was engrossed in my notes here with every powerful action you mentioned there. So members, please, if you cannot unmute or speak, feel free to type your question in the chat. Otherwise, just raise your virtual hand and then I will select you to ask a question. We now have a Q&A session to encounter. But as members think of their questions, I have a few questions here, Beverly. You basically told us, especially those in the creative arts, to stop surrounding ourselves with poor people, people who can't support us financially. They are very encouraging emotionally. They will try and talk about your book, but they'll never buy your book.
So, I also emphasized poor in mind.
Oh, yes, as well as poor
That's
in
where
mind.
it is. Yeah.
So how do you, I'm picturing a scenario whereby I am so talented that every once in a while, I find myself in the vicinity of people, like you said, who could open doors, but I don't know how to do that. So what tip can you give creatives who then find themselves in an environment or next to somebody that can make something happen? How do you pitch yourself or your work in a way that then leverages that person's influence to put money in your pockets?
Be direct with them. Be direct. Because you're creative, you do speak well, Dawudi, but maybe when you speak, you meander. Be direct with them. They're busy people. It's like elevator pitch. Say, excuse me, Mr. Mugabe, I know that your organization trains young leaders in public speaking and communication. I run Global Edge Leaders. I would like to pitch to you. May we come and have a demonstration with your team? And if you're happy with it, may we have a discussion on how we can have a long-term partnership? 3 minutes. That is how much time Mr. Mugabe has for you. Then follow up with this secretary, because he'll give you the secretary's number, because he's often traveling, and start from there. Keep following up. These busy people prefer it if you follow up. It's not that they're ignoring you. It's not. really, they are busy. Follow up with the secretary, follow up, and then get into that room. So offer them 30 minutes of a demo from Global Edge leaders. After that, he's in. After hearing you speak, who would say no to you? Think about it. Who would say no after hearing Dawoodi speak? They'll say, this is the one. This is the one who's going to train us for life. You have to be really direct. Don't be afraid, because the CEO you want to speak to did not get there by being afraid or by being shy or by practicing fake humility. Nope. They were bold. And one thing with them, they're not afraid of no. Many times people who are creative, they take no personally, as if it's a personal rejection. They planned to, no. Maybe it wasn't in their budget. See, rich people also know how to budget. They don't throw money everywhere. They budget. And so if it wasn't in their budget to have a training with you, understand it just wasn't in their budget. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. And then ask him, whom else may I contact? Apart from him, whom else? Reach out to 20 people a week. There was one time when I was calling, last week, I think I went and listed the top universities in the world, and I contacted those in different departments because I wanted to engage them with this anthology. It was insane, but I'll tell you that by next month, I'll have 10 positive responses. Why? Because I went out and was confident. Be bold. Don't wait for a savior. Just go and do it. And we know where they are, don't we? There are so many places where people are speaking now. I think when I'm on LinkedIn, I don't know how many posters or messages, invitations I get to attend seminars and webinars. Attend those things, get the contact of those people and follow up. Get the contact of the organizers. Be real and say, I'm an MC. Here's a demo. Send it. 2 minutes. When can we talk? And find them. So just be bold. Push yourself in the door. That's the best way, because they are so busy. They're so busy. They are.
Thank you very much, Beverly. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I do see some comments. I have another question for you, Beverly, but before I get to that question, I just want to share with you some of the comments that have been coming in during your presentation so that you can reflect on how impactful it's been. We have one here from Hafley who said, I 100% relate to this, and I've been working on this after 13 years because I am so passionate for sustainability, not writing. Would love to connect and learn with others. Then he puts his email address there for somebody to reach out to him. And then just now we've had a message, which I think speaks to what you've just been saying, from Dora, who says, I feel so undervalued. Everywhere I go, people, especially strangers, look at me with admiration and say I have great potential, but it has never materialized into finances or a better lifestyle. I feel trapped in my own body. I think this speaks to what you were saying, where your talent is very evident and people appreciate it, but making that translation from applause to the sound of money in the bank account, that's where the challenge is. Yes, Hafley is a lady, so that's just a clarification on that from my earlier comment. So Beverly, I have another question as we wait for questions from the audience. Please, audience members, if you have a question, raise your hand and you have the opportunity to speak. On my side, the other question is, for those who are in the corporate space, there are people who have a 9-to-5 job, but they're talented and their contemporaries make money from that talent that they have. But then there is this fear holding them back of, at the end of every month, I get a steady check. This thing of pursuing my talent might work out. People say I'm really good, or it might flop and I'll regret leaving my job. What advice do you have for somebody like that? And have you encountered any of those people who have a 9-to-5, but they feel trapped by that continuous paycheck, as opposed to taking the leap and pursuing their passions?
I would say, because of experience, don't leave your job yet. Don't leave your job until you've invested enough that can sustain you 6 months without a check. Don't leave it unless you're sure there's going to be steady income. Don't, and that's from experience. Don't leave it. What you're going to do, if you know you want to leave, for the next 3 or 6 months before you leave, start investing everything you earn. Whatever you invest, whatever you earn, invest 10%, invest 10%, so that when you leave, that money has been invested and multiplied somewhere that can sustain you for 6 months. That's what I would say. So when you're thinking about leaving, think about the sustainability and invest a bit of your salary, a bit, all the time, a bit. Or even within that job, start selling some of your creativity. I sell poems and frames and they work so well. People's anniversaries, people what, those work really well. Or if you bake, you know, or I know someone who used to go to China and sell shoes. She earned so much money from that, shoes and handbags, things like that. So you show them how gifted you are if you're allowed to entrepreneurially. Otherwise, don't leave that job yet. Start investing a bit of your salary every month so that when you leave, you are not again begging. When you leave, you have at least a month to think about, okay, I have this money to sustain me for a month. Let me think about what I want. Then you can read, get a good mentor, start attending these financial talks, because there's so many talks on finances, so many places where you can invest just with 1 million shillings and it multiplies and takes you places. Traveling is also good. You can travel with little money, take a bus to Kigali, Airbnb, spend 2 nights, think, breathe. Take a bus to Fort Portal, breathe. Go to Ginger, go to Arua, go to a place that's different and breathe and think with that money that you saved. So if you are going to leave, make sure you have money to invest and then leave the same city, leave the environment, go away for a week. But that money you've saved is what will help you so that you can actually think, now what? Now what? It will really help you. So don't leave and then be in the same space, the same home, the same neighborhood of people who aren't helping. Go away and think.
Thank you, Beverly. My next question would be for those that have actually crossed that bridge. So here I am, and now I'm making money, probably a lot of money, more money than I thought. With that comes a required skill set, and you've hinted on it because once you're making money, you now need to have a strategic mind on how to put building blocks on your finances. In other words, how do I scale my business? How do I take this to the next level? How do I power network? How do I manage my finances? So there are all these skills that come with making money. And in your space, how have you found those skills? You mentioned mentorship, you mentioned some classes. Are there any other ways in which we can grow beyond the talent to now being able to manage the talent itself for sustainability?
Or manage the talent itself? You always need to be with people who are better than you, who are gifted than you, so that they nurture your talent. As a writer, I take my material to people who are excellent editors, and they help hone that. The professors who taught me my masters, I take them my work once in a while, and they go through and sharpen it. I also believe in studying further. And where I can, I apply for courses where I improve on that gift, because the gift alone is 0.01%. The hard work is what propels you 99% to sharpen that gift. That's why people say, you're naturally a talented speaker. No, it's because I work hard at practicing to speak. There's no such thing as a naturally gifted speaker. That natural talent is 0.01%. The 99% is the hard work. That's why you find MCs who are eloquent and extroverted. The next time you meet them, you can't believe it's the same MC. They're repeating the same jokes. It's clear they have not prepared. They're mixing up the names of the keynote speaker and the chief guest. They're taking it for granted. I never take any task for granted. If I'm invited to speak, I have prepared hard, even if it may be my 4th speech that day. I always prepare hard. It's fresh. It's a new audience. I respect the audience. I respect the topic. I respect the need for preparation. And that's what you need to do as artists. If you're a violinist, learn a new tune. Go onto YouTube. What are the new styles? People are now plucking the strings. They're not only stringing it. Learn that. Learn that. Learn how to be ambidextrous if you're a football player. Kick with your right. Learn how to kick with your left. Learn those things. Don't rely on yesterday's glory. If I was a great MC yesterday, tomorrow it's a new audience. What can I do? Read about the audience. What is fresh? What humor may I bring to the table? Always keep relying on new knowledge, and then take time to rest. We're always working. Let your talent also bring you joy. Don't work so hard at the talent that now there's no more joy. It's now a burden. No, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it so much. Have a fulfilled life. In other words, because I wake up early, 3, 4, I also know there's a time at midday, I can watch comedy, watch series, go and exercise. I'm not always thinking poetry, writing, speaking. I invest in my whole life. When you invest in yourself, it's everything. Do exercise, travel, spend time with friends, watch, read a book, all of those things. You are more than your talent. Your talent is inside this entire being. Because of who you are talented. But the talent alone is not going to take you places. Do other things. Travel the world. Be silly. Go for a drink with friends. Go for a birthday party. Enjoy yourself. Have cake. All those wonderful things as well are part of what feeds into who you are. And if you allow yourself to breathe and relax, your talent also ferments into something powerful. Let it distill and come out powerful. Don't torture it and poke it all the time. Poke. Leave it also to rest and distill and come out to the surface when it's powerful. Yeah.
Thank you, Beverly. Just a few more comments here. One from Hafley who says, we need those who lead a craft supporting one another, headliners, open mic artists, art leaders, and so on. And Diana says she loves the idea of going away and having an opportunity to breathe. So re-emphasizing what you've just said. And to really echo your point, for our participants in the audience, please ask questions. Like Beverly said, sometimes you have somebody with all the knowledge right in front of you, and that's the opportunity you need to use. Here she is right now. She's promoting a book. If you have any questions around how she has done that, how she has maneuvered any red tape to make sure that she sells as many copies as she has, now is the opportunity to ask. So are there any questions from the audience members? Please raise your virtual hand and you'll be given an opportunity to speak. This is an opportunity for you to learn and grow beyond the presentation. So any questions? Oh, yes. Hafli, please go ahead and ask your question. Thank you for raising your hand. Please go ahead, unmute and ask away.
Hi, firstly, thank you for Beverley for the wonderful gems that you have shared. My question is, if you were starting over again, what 3 things would you do differently?
Thanks. I love that question. The first one would be, what do I really want out of it? Because at the beginning, I thought, oh my goodness, this award that I've started has been magnificent. The deputy speaker was our chief guest, and I was in the papers, and that was enough. The thrill, I was in such a state of euphoria for months because of the interviews. I never thought ahead because adrenaline was just pushing me through one interview to another, traveling from one place to another. But I would think clearly, what do I want this to do for me? This gift, this idea, what do I want it to do? And once I have that, I will work intentionally towards it. I did not have that intentionality because my head was in a space of lightheadedness. I was always invited, always. And then until I crashed, because in between I was crashing, I was like, where are the people? Where are the lights? Where's the camera? Where are the journalists? Where's the trip? Where's the plane? Where's the visa? You see, it's not always that. And the in-between would have given me time to say, this is what we're going to do now. When I'm not on the plane, when I'm not in front of cameras, I'm still planning this. So first thing, what do I want this to do for me? Do I want it to lead me to study for a PhD? Do I want it to establish a poetry house where I can host people? We have barbecue nights once a month, an Airbnb for poets coming in around the country. I host residents here who are poets and earn from it. That's one thing. And then secondly, I'd have said, with whatever money I get, what would I have invested in? Because the donor money kept coming in, but I used exactly what it was supposed to be for, reported it, the auditors audited whatever they needed to audit, sent, approved. But now I know you have to become radical. Stop being the good reporter. Stop being the good accountant. Get radical and somebody said, what do you do next time? Put 50% in an investment thing so that what you have, use it for the event. And then next time you need money, you've got something that has already multiplied. Something that has already multiplied. So one, I'll think, what do I want this to do for me? Think ahead, 3 things, and then invest what I have. Invest the money I have, at least 20%, 50%, depending on how much I get invested. Whatever donor income was invested. And then thirdly, I would have got strong mentors. Definitely. I don't think I had strong mentors. The people whom I thought were my mentors, some of them, I think, said, oh my goodness, she is scaling too fast. And then they closed their doors in my face, literally. They were challenged by the way I was scaling, and then they ended up not being very helpful to me. So I would have got good mentors even outside this region and thought outside Africa, mentors who would really invest in me and build me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Beverley. Just touching up on the mentors, I've worked with a fair few here in the UK, and I have a brilliant mentor who's actually from Africa, and she's fantastic. And I've got that, a bit of that sustainability is growing. I'm not in a corporate job, but how can I ensure that I continue to improve in what I started 13 years ago?
Depending on what you're doing, what were your goals for it? Because some people start things and maybe the goals aren't clear. If the goals are clear, short-term, long-term.
So my goals were to encourage reading within our community. We have a reading level here that's not even for the average child. It's very sad. So that goal still continues till today. And then further down the line, I set up what's called Writing Tabulous, which is our creative writing branch, which is to allow people to write as they feel with expression and dignity, but also have this space to do open mic. But I'm finding that with the open mic in particular, people are not wanting to pay to attend.
Okay. Change the audience or change the venue, because somebody said water at Sheraton will cost 5,000 and you'll pay it. Water in downtown Kampala will probably cost 1,000. Same water, different venue. So maybe you just have to change the way it's packaged. Because I've been for places where people pay so much for poetry and the poet wasn't that good, but the way they were packaged was phenomenal. And yet I've met other downtown poets who are so much better, but the packaging made all the difference. So you tell them you'll come in, there'll be a cocktail and a this and a that, the venue. So you pay so much and you end up feeling this was worth it. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Very helpful.
Thank you too for your question. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Haf. That was very, very insightful, wonderful engagement. Do we have any other questions before we close? Please, this is your opportunity. Beverley is right here. You can ask her right now live. So please, if you have any burning question, now is your chance. Okay, I don't seem to see any other questions. So Beverley, I just want to thank you so much for the presentation and also use this opportunity for you to plug your book, of course, because why come and make this presentation and not use the chance to plug your book? So how can we access your book and what is it all about? Tell us about the book, Feeling.
This book started as a personal project, actually. In 2023, after Honorable Joyce Mpanga died, I became touched and I thought, I'm going to start writing poems. And I wrote one about her. Shortly after, Honorable Celia Ogwal died, and these were two important women in our country. I wrote about her. And I had the feeling, oh my goodness, people are leaving us. Let's write about them. While Honorable Joyce Mpanga had penned her autobiography, Honorable Ogwal hadn't, and actually approached her before her death. She was sick at the time, actually. And I said, would you like your bio written? We started having the long talks and interviews. Shortly after, though, she was sent to India and she died. It was then that propelled me, start writing, not because people are dying, but write about many Ugandan women who have done great things. And the more I thought about it, the more people came to mind, like Namaganda, who rescued these 19 girls from the fire. That's outstanding, isn't it? She was 10 at the time. With that, a grant came across. And I thought, oh my goodness, it's exhausting to apply for grants, but we got it. I then called a team because it became bigger than me. It was just a personal project, but now with a grant and what became so big, we traveled around Uganda, Palis, Hoima, and all these places to get stories, and so many. We've only captured 60 women in this, but I'll tell you there are thousands and thousands and thousands. We're thinking there may have to be other additions to this. And that's how it began, really. Every woman who has received their copy or their relatives, for those who passed, has been so pleased and so honored. It's been an incredibly important project because it's just a month since it's been out, but the responses have been overwhelming. Once every woman or each family member has received their copy, because some are abroad, we will then plan on how to hold a virtual launch and a physical launch. It's now on sale at 50,000. There are books in Nairobi and there are books online. I should share the online link, I suppose. Yes, that's what it is. A poetry anthology celebrating iconic Ugandan women. And there are many. Some you recognize, some you may not have heard of, but in different fields: law, tourism, sports, education, the arts, literature, a lot.
All right. Thank you very much, Beverley. Are you typing the link in the chat?
Yes, I am typing the link. It's right here. That's the online link.
Okay.
How can you
Yes,
reach you? Let me leave my WhatsApp. There is my WhatsApp.
Okay, I hope everybody can see that in the chat. Her link is beverleynambozoN.com. That's her website. And then you go to shop. And her mobile number is +256. That's her WhatsApp, +256 751 703 226. I will include all these details as I share the recording of this webinar so that in case you missed any of the links, you'll be able to retrieve them from the email that will come your way along with the recording of this webinar so you can play
Do you
back
have the
everything.
contacts of the members here?
Yes, so everybody that has registered today, we've got
they
their
registered,
emails.
right? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
so we should be able to have that sent to
That's
you
helpful.
as well.
Thank
So yes, so Half is asking, can you share the number again? With area code, it's the +256, Half, +256, +256 751 703 226.
This is the other number, so either one of them works.
Okay, so Half will be sure to send those on mail with all the information that you need, the link, the contact number, and everything else that you might need to get in touch with Beverley in case this time was not enough, or in case you were shy and didn't want to ask questions in front of other people. No worries, you'll be able to reach her. And thank you so much for your engagement, especially you have. That was very interesting with your questions. And thank you, Beverley, especially for showing us how it is that we can walk this journey and demonstrating it by selling a book at the end. And I think that's one of the opportunities you can take, is to take on a speaking role or a webinar and give value, but then also get value in the end, because I noticed you have somebody like Diana who is interested in buying the book, so she will be in touch. So at least this webinar has yielded some fruit for you there. So that's an example of how.
Thank you as well. Global
Oh,
Edge
yes,
Leaders.
please.
Yes, Global Ed Leaders, Dawoodi, Baron, thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you for each participant. I don't know all of you, and I'm glad to make new acquaintances. It's what I do. Somebody said strangers. Make strangers your acquaintances and start from there. It works. It really, really works. So thank you so much for your engagement, for staying, and for being part of this hour. Thank you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you once again. And as you've seen, we have quite a number of webinars. We've got another one coming up next week. So just visit our website, globalageleaders.com, where you can watch these webinars live and also see the previous webinars. Most people that host webinars don't share the recordings. If you missed it live, it just disappears. So one of the things we're intentional about is to have those recordings available on our website. So in case of another engagement that you have at the time, you'll have an opportunity to watch the recording, and that way this knowledge is always available to you at your convenience. So thank you for those that have joined us today. We look forward to having you join us again in our next webinar. Thank you, Beverly. We're going to play a role in helping you reach that 1 million mark of selling the books. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
God bless
Bye.
you. Bye.